Hello there. According to the EU Chief Brexit negotiator, the UK Brexit proposals are a threat to the future of the single market and the EU. The EU Chief Brexit negotiator Michel Barnier has published an article in 20 newspapers across the EU. In his article, Michel Barnier says, "The UK knows well the benefits of the single market. It has contributed to shaping our rules over the last 45 years. And yet some UK proposals would undermine our single market, which is one of the EU's biggest achievements. The UK wants to keep free movement of goods between us, but not of people and services, and it proposes to apply EU customs rules without being part of the EU's legal order. Thus, the UK wants to take back sovereignty and control of its own laws, which we respect, but it cannot ask the EU to lose control of its borders and laws." But I'm not sure that the EU has thus far shown any respect for the UK position of taking back sovereignty and control. As an example, the Northern Ireland border has been blown out of all proportion at every step of the way in order to try and drive a wedge between Northern Ireland and the rest of the UK. But it is great to see an acknowledgement from a Eurocrat that belonging to the EU does mean a loss of sovereignty for the member state, something Remoaners keep trying to deny. The timing of this letter is also interesting, as it comes at the same time as Theresa May and her ministers are out touting the Chequers-based Brexit deal member state door to member state door. Could it be that the Eurocrats are worried that the efforts of the UK government to appeal to the needs of individual member states might start bearing fruit, resulting in pressure being applied on the negotiators to come to a deal and remove the risk of a no-deal withdrawal of the UK from the EU? In considering that, just look at the UK Foreign Secretary Jeremy Hunt today saying that Germany and France should act now and come to a deal, as Theresa May, he says, will not blink, and to do otherwise risks the UK leaving the EU without a deal by default. "There is a real chance of no deal by accident," said Mr. Hunt. "Everyone is assuming, no, this will never happen. Well, actually, it could. France and Germany have to send a strong signal to the Commission that we need to negotiate a pragmatic and sensible outcome that protects jobs on both sides of the Channel, because for every job lost in the UK, there will be jobs lost in Europe as well if Brexit goes wrong." Personally, I think that Theresa May not blinking would be a definite first, and I am also suspicious of the term a pragmatic Brexit. As I have said before, any qualifier like that just means no Brexit in reality. But Theresa May has broken off the first part of her dual holiday plans early to take up an offer to meet with the French President Emmanuel Macron in his retreat in the south of France. And now we're told that the UK Parliament may be asked to vote on a vague statement from Brussels to give us some sort of deal sometime. Of course, this has been given a name, yet another type of Brexit to be defined, and this one is called the blind Brexit. How much longer is this charade going to go on before everyone realises that there is not a proper Brexit deal to be had? The only deal that will ever be acceptable to the EU, and possibly our own Remoaners, will be the one that keeps the UK tied permanently to the bloc's yoke. And while all this is going on, the Bank of England has raised interest rates from the emergency level of 0.5%, initially set in response to the fallout of the credit crunch a decade ago. The rate of 0.5% was set in March 2009 and was maintained at that rate until August 2016, when it was lowered in response to the perceived economic threat of the vote to leave the EU 2 months earlier. That decision was then reversed in November 2017, when it seems that the decision on balance had been seen to be the wrong one. The real point to note here is that when things are going badly, rates tend to go down. When they are going well, rates tend to go up. Also remember that it has been government policy of all shades of red or blue tinged with yellow to aim for an interest rate that keeps inflation at 2%. And inflation is currently just above that, so a slight rise in interest rates will put downward pressure on inflation. But of course, whatever anyone says, this minor adjustment in rates will be used by the Remoaners to claim Brexit is somehow to blame for this rate rise and that it will devastate the country, conveniently forgetting that they claim that if we'd voted to remain, we'd all be living in a land of milk and honey, so rates would be going up anyway. And because Remoaners claim the UK economy would be booming so much by now if we'd committed to remain, rates would have gone up faster and would be higher by now. Also, Remoaners are not at all pleased by the revelation that the UK net contribution to the EU went up 9% last year, from 8.1 billion in 2016-17 to 8.8 billion in 2017-2018. That's £169 million a week. But it will also continue to increase to 10.8 billion next year and 12.2 billion the year after. And as the Tory MP Andrew Bridgen said to the Daily Mail, this is another 700 million reasons why the British people were right to vote to leave the EU. People ask about the Brexit dividend. Well, this is it. If we were to leave without a deal on WTO terms, then we wouldn't have to pay this money in the future. We wouldn't have to pay a divorce bill, and we would have billions freed up to spend on the NHS and extra money for our schools, police and armed forces. And those costs would of course have gone up if we had voted to remain. Thank the Lord we made the logical and best choice. We voted to leave the EU. So, please let us all know what you think by leaving a comment below. Thank you for watching. Please do like and share this video, and also subscribe to my channel. And when subscribing, please do remember to press on the little bell next to the subscribe button. That way you'll get an alert every single time I put up a new video. Thank you very much for watching.